Alright, so we got the full summary of 1104, and this might be the most exciting chapter of Egghead so far. So much more is going on in this chapter than what we were able to talk about yesterday, so let's just get right into it. So the chapter starts where the last one ended. Saturn is shocked when he sees that Kuma is still moving. It's revealed that Saturn already pressed the self-destruct switch a few days after the Revolutionary Army took Kuma's body from Mary Joie, so he can't understand what's happening now. Vegapunk thinks to himself that there's no scientific explanation for why Kuma can still move or how he knows Bonnie was on Egghead Island. As for why this is happening, how he's like not self-destructing, how he knows Bonnie is here, and seemingly how he is acting autonomously, it's not fully explained in this chapter, but it is hinted at, and we'll get into it when we get to that part. Sanji, Frankie, and Atlas are shocked too when they see Kuma. Just before Kuma's punch reaches Saturn, Kuma remembers some parts of his life, nothing new. Then, in a super epic double spread, Kuma punches Saturn. Kuma's punch crushed Saturn's face, but Saturn is still conscious and looks angry at Kuma. However, Saturn is sent flying across the island by Kuma's attack, and Saturn collides with some buildings that fall and gets flattened by them. All Marines are shocked to see that a slave punched a member of the Gorosei. So holy crap, we did not know this. We knew that he punched Saturn and that, I don't know, his arm got damaged in the process and that he regrew it back. But wow, this is like Gear 4 Luffy punching Daffy level of hype here. And like I said yesterday, I'm totally on board with this happening because it kind of has to. There has to be some kind of catharsis here for the reader and for Kuma because, you know, we are coming off of Kuma's flashback. He needs to have some kind of retribution after all of that stuff, especially how much of a complete bag of crap that Saturn was built up to be and still is. And also, I like the discourse that this is going to cause because, you know, there's the whole big Gorosei, Yonko, Admiral power scaling stuff that's going on. And now this is like throwing a whole wrench in that because this isn't the only time that Saturn is getting played in this chapter. And it's like, wait, is he actually a weakling? Well, you know, not a weakling, but, you know, is he at a quote-unquote Yonko level? Is he as strong as, like, as Kaido was? And I don't know. We don't really even know how strong Kuma truly is, I guess, right? But also, I could totally see Saturn maybe being, like, the weakest Gorosei. You know, considering that he is the first one that we saw in action and fully transformed. I can see there being, like, a sequence later on where, like, the rest of the Gorosei are like, yeah, Saturn, of course, we know is the weakest of us. Because, you know, that's how battle manga goes sometimes. But I think this is more so just a catharsis for us coming out of Kuma's flashback, to be honest. He kind of needed this moment. Vegapunk, Sanji, Frankie, and Atlas realize that they can move again. Sanji says, "Are you okay, Bonnie?" And Vegapunk asks everyone to bring Bonnie back to the Labo phase so they can escape. Vegapunk reveals that Kuma's self-destruct switch doesn't literally destroy Kuma's body, since Vegapunk knows it can be weaponized. How convenient. However, Vegapunk followed Saturn's orders by creating a mechanism that will switch off all of Kuma's function. Kuma shouldn't be able to move or take any orders after the self-destruct switch is pressed. Vegapunk says, could it be that the Buccaneer's special ability is not superhuman strength? In the past, they have... So, this is, you know, I guess alluding to why Kuma is able to overcome his current situation with the cyborgification, to steal a term from the One Punch Man webcomic. And Vegapunk does say one more thing about this, and I'll go more into that because, coincidentally enough, it was talked about by another YouTuber who I really enjoy. Bonnie thanks Kuma for everything she saw in Kuma's memory. Kuma just hugs Bonnie and then he stops moving. The Marines can't find Luffy anywhere. It seems Luffy disappeared. We don't see anything new in this chapter about Zoro, Lucci, the other Straw Hat crew members, regardless of Sanji and Frankie, or the other Vegapunk's clones, regardless of Vegapunk and Atlas. Oh, okay, so last we saw Luffy, of course, was eating the food that may or may not have been supplied to him by Kizaru, and it seems like he recovered enough to be able to skedaddle away wherever he's at. Maybe he's recovering somewhere or doing something. So I think this is more so Oda just setting up like a Goku savior moment, you know, especially considering what happens at the end of this chapter, which Luffy for sure is going to intervene with. Saturn emerges from the rubble. He lost his right arm and his left horn due to buildings falling on him. Saturn's body is heavily injured too. However, Saturn uses his powers to recover very quickly. Some black flames appear to regenerate 100% of his right arm and left horn. So this is the other reason why I think Saturn is getting played and taking so much damage, because it's just Oda wanting to show us that he has this regeneration ability. I mean, yeah, he needs to take damage from quote-unquote lessers, but at the expense of showing that he simply has this regeneration ability. Like we also talked about before, is probably a part of his awakened mythical Zoan devil fruits inherent abilities, or it has something to do with Emu or an augmented ability, but it's most likely just an inherent ability probably from this busted mythical Zoan in its awakened form. Saturn asks Vegapunk, how could this happen with Kuma? And Vegapunk says, let's just say it's because of love. So this is what I was talking about. My favorite One Piece YouTuber is this Japanese guy by the name of Uteron, and he recently made a video talking about how love is like a big element of One Piece, and that Luffy is going to quote-unquote use love to defeat Emu at the end of the story. But not love and like, you know, loving Emu, but like, I don't know, just showing that love overcomes hatred or whatever, you know, like the power of love. I know, maybe not the strongest narrative for cynical Western fans, but it is Oda after all. We're pretty sure we know how he works at this point. And I guess this is just Oda's way of saying that Kuma's love was so strong that it transcended his consciousness and tangible form and overrode the cyborgification and allowed him to act autonomously and do everything that he's doing here for the sake of Bonnie, or something like that. Saturn tries to attack Kuma, but Sanji deflects Saturn's attack, and he says, "You won't hurt Bonnie again." So, Sanji's back on the board. For everyone who sold their Sanji stocks, start buying them up again because he's back. He deflected Saturn's attack now. Vegapunk orders Atlas to carry up Kuma to the lava phase. Meanwhile, Frankie uses his radical beam to attack Saturn. He says, we owe Kuma a big favor. The radical beam pierces Saturn's body, but Saturn recovers easily from Frankie's attack. So yeah, we got Frankie on the board too, piercing Saturn's body with a radical beam. But also I think it's just showing that, you know, Saturn can just recover from this stuff. And also, I went over some theories with my boy Sai a couple months ago, talking about who the potential final opponents of the Gorosei could be. And it seems like Saturn is going to be Frankie's final opponent. Or maybe Frankie and Robin in a team against Saturn. Suddenly, Kizaru appears and kicks Frankie away. Vegapunk tells off Kizaru. Your heart can't withstand doing this much longer, isn't it? What a sad man you are, Kizaru. And Kizaru replies Vegapunk with a quite sad expression. It seems he's about to tear up. I should have brought a darker sunglasses. So yeah, Kizaru's not like immediately having a 180 face turn. It's more subtle at this point, but it has for sure been built up. It is going to happen, but just not immediately. Like, there is a reason why we saw Kizaru as such a likable guy in Kuma's flashback, and also him recently caring about Sentomaru and Bonnie, and the heavy implications that he is the one who gave Luffy the food. He still is a cog in the wheel, but he's slowly but surely going to break away from that, but he can't just do it right now. And I kind of appreciate that, to be honest. In the last page of the chapter, Saturn orders to start a buster call in Egghead Island. We can see all the marine ships preparing to attack. End of chapter. So, wow. Buster call coming in, and a buster call is just like an onslaught of heavy artillery on an island or a certain location. You know, we saw it in the Ohara flashback, we saw it in Eni's lobby, and they're pretty much going to do that on Egghead here. And like I said before, I think this is where Luffy's going to come in, and he might single-handedly just thwart the buster call in Gear 5, if he has recovered enough to be able to do that. And also, I'm pretty sure this is going to be leading into the events of the whole big narration that we got a couple chapters back about how it shocked the world, whatever happened. So looking forward to that. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, guys. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.